Hey guys, uh, we're going to do a valve spring swap on this head today. We're going to put this at a Brian Tooley Racing, double valve springs in it, your 660 lift. I got these from Little John Motorsports. He's a pretty good guy. Kind of works in conjunction with Brian Tooley. They're right across the street from each other. And show you what we've got. We've got stock 862 head. These are the keepers. Go on top of the valve springs, the new valve springs. These are the locators for the bottom of the valve springs. Go against the head. Here's our new valve seals and the actual keeper wedge. I guess these should be called retainers. Hard to see, but see the little steps? That's for the double valve spring. So right on, and the main valve spring. And these black things are actually your keepers. But technicalities. And here's one of the double valve springs. They're pretty, nice and shiny. Work great. So we're gonna do this pretty quick when we get started. The easiest way to disassemble one of these heads, or basically any cylinder head for that matter, is throw a couple rags underneath of it. Make sure the valve's got placed nice and cushiony to hit. Grab your favorite deep well socket that'll fit the stock retainer. Ball peen hammer, one good smack, and the keepers will jump right out of there, and it'll disassemble itself. So, also, you can do the long hard way of buying a spring compressor or being a cheap ass like me and making one out of a hood latch from a '08 F250. You know, whatever you want to do. Basically that's the concept. Pull the bolt down, press the spring. We'll show that in detail later. But I'm going to see basically how quick I can do this and not make an idiot of myself. Pulling the valve seals out now, the old ones. They're a little snug, usually after all this time, but once you wiggle them a few times, they come right out. And shoot, if you want, I'll bring you a little closer so you actually see some of this. Looking at the exhaust side, there's a black seal color, and there's a, I don't know, brownish, I call it brown, seal. The brown seal goes on the exhaust valves. The black seal goes in the intake valves. I think that's what it looks like when you pull the old ones off. So that's why we put them back together. We didn't have no problems doing it that way. I'm sure if I'd bothered to ask somebody, they could tell me, but it is what it is. These are the old spring locators. They pretty much just keep the bottom of the spring centered up around the valve stem. We won't use these old ones because not really that they wear out or anything, but they don't have the provision for the double valve spring. There's usually a bunch of junk underneath these keepers, and it's a junkyard build, but I do feel the need to Not that it probably helps a thing, but I like to wipe out underneath of them so that the new retainers will sit down nice and flat. The smooth side goes down, the step side goes up. Otherwise, you're grossly going to change your coil height of your spring, and that would not be a good thing. Also, you don't want to put your valve seals back on before you put these on, because you can't get them back on after you put your seals on. Another trick for putting these seals on is I'm using a 12mm socket. They make it real nice. Take a hammer. You heard the noise change. You know you're at the bottom. Stop. There ain't no reason to drive these to China or nothing. Just do it nice. Smooth job of putting them in. Try not to put any of the wrong ones on the wrong. I don't know if it'll even hurt anything, but I bet the brown ones are designed for a little more temperature for the exhaust valves, would be my guess. If you're looking at the head from the exhaust port side like I am, you're looking at it from the intake side. The brown's always been the right, the black's always been the left. Alright, all over in. We're ready to start throwing some valve springs in this thing. Now you'll see how my homemade contraption works here. I've made a few of these over the years, and they ain't hard to make. They're just a flat piece of steel. They ain't hard to make. They're just a flat piece of steel, will work fine. This just happened to have this big ass arm on it, but you don't need all that. A DeWalt cordless impact, a socket on it, makes this process go a lot quicker. There's a good chance the valve's down just a touch like that one is. Reach underneath there with your right hand or left hand, however you want to do it. It don't really freaking matter. But slide your keepers in. Valve spring in. Sorry about that. Let that hit you there, but I think you'll be okay. The thin part of your wedge goes down, the wide part goes up, if you've never done this before. If you'll pay attention to the way the other ones came out, and they go back in the same way. The Brian Tooley kit comes with its own ones. These keepers actually come in different degree wedges. So keep that in mind, that probably ain't the best idea to mix and match old ones and new ones. They're pretty small, so try not to lose them if you're doing this. I don't like to compress these valve springs any more than you just have to get the keeper in it, because you're actually bolt hole I'm actually using to pull these down for each one of these valve springs is the rocker arm bolt hole. So you're kind of putting a little bit of stress on that. So I'll try to put any more stress on it than I have to. Set these on here. Smooth side goes up on the keeper, on the retainer. Step side goes down for the double valve spring. You want to keep the valve centered up in the keeper when you're pulling down on it. Otherwise you're going to push the valve down, which ain't a big deal, but with this style spring compressor, it's a little bit, well, it's moving in an arc. So you're actually going either toward the valve or away from the valve all the time. So you can easily, if you're just not paying attention, being a jackass or something, you can take and bend a valve or do something stupid. The big thing is, if you see the valve start going down, you're touching it. Stop. Like that one, we touched it, but ain't no big deal. Because now we're not. Sometimes I need a little persuasion. Get an honor one here and there. I intentionally drill this hole really large so that I can take and move it around some and not have any issue trying to get it to move. I like to say controlled adjustability. It turns out we're going to have one extra keeper after all that. So, interesting. Of course, the last one is going to be the biggest pain. I'm sure. quickest way I know to do one of these, easiest way I know to do one of these. We tried using one of these spring compressors, and I'm sure they work pretty decent for a lighter spring, but these Brian Tilly racing springs, it didn't care for them none at all. So we took and did it like that. Worked out good. If there's any how-to videos anybody wants to see done, probably do some tuning videos at some point and stuff like that, let me know, and we'll get them made. You have a good day. Alright guys, we've got the long block pretty much together. Reused stock head bolts. Matt Happel took and made almost 1,000 horsepower in his 6.0 with stock head bolts. So I got a feeling they'll be fine to push this till it folds up the Gen 3 rods. So we're gonna try them, see how it goes. Well, about time for me to head to work, so we're logging off for today.